Showboating Sports, guys. It's your man Scott Free here. Man, we got a really good show for you guys tonight. I'm going to start tuning everybody in on this. So if you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe and share and like this video, and also hit the notification bell icon if you're not new to the channel. If you're new to the channel, and that way you can know when I'm ready to go live. Right now, I'm ready to put up something and sound off. Okay, so today's show is about, and I'm gonna pin this up here on the top. Today's show is about Vergil Ortiz could be on PEDs, and that was said by Blair the Flare. And so we're gonna go in depth about that. We're gonna talk about that. I'm also putting this up in some of my forums so people can get in here and let everybody else come on into this thing. And so if you're new, like I said, there's a number up on the top of the screen right there, right? So just take that number and you can call in. You can remain anonymous, or you can put it out there if you want to bring some smoke, because that's what this channel is all about. This channel is all about smoke, man, and that's what we want. We want to bring some smoke out here. We want to see who all is ready to talk about this. So I'm gonna start things off. Like I said, as I'm sitting here putting it up on our Facebook, letting our Facebook people come in, and which is good, man. We're gonna let everybody come in and let everybody talk about this. This has been an ongoing debate about Vergil Ortiz, and Blair the Flare has been saying a lot of crazy stuff here lately. I don't know if he's doing it for publicity or what it is, but I do like Blair the Flare. I really do. I think he's a really good boxer. I don't think he has the best skills in the world, but he's a good, decent boxer, and I do like his attitude. He has that old school mentality. That's what it seems like. And that's the kind of take, and that's what I'm gonna give off the top. And like I said, I let some people call in and speak what's on their mind. Call in, sound off, man. That's what we're gonna do. Call in and sound off, and I'm letting everybody know we are live, man. We are live, which is cool. We are live. So we're gonna keep letting people roll on in here. What's funny is every time I put up we are live, the funny thing is that this thing, it always puts love on there. I don't know what it is, because this ain't love, baby. This is all about war. That is what it's about. It's about war. You know what I mean? So, like I said, man, it's cool. I got one more little part to put in. We are live. Call in and sound off. There we go, because we got a lot to talk about tonight. We want to make sure a lot of people represented, from our Facebook to our YouTube, from all our groups and stuff, and come on in and talk this thing out, and let's get to it, man. All right, one more little link to share, and here we are. All right, there we go. We ready to rock and roll. So we're going to talk to you guys a little bit more about the Blair the Flare and what he said. Now, Blair the Flare said that he thinks, and he just said it straight out. Wait, before we go any further, let me hit this button right here, because this is how we're going to get down.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
There we go. All right. We are ready right now.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
All right. So now we're ready to rock and roll. So Blair the Flare said that he thinks Vergil Ortiz is on steroids. He said, because same thing happened to me with my feet. He said that, I think that's what happened to him. He's taking steroids because that can be how you overwork your muscles, and that can cause your muscles to break down and give you that problem, And that's a real health thing, man. That thing can kill somebody, man. It can be a real bad situation, man. And so that's it, man. I'm telling you. And another thing, I think that Blair has using a little bit of this as a publicity stunt, but I don't think it's totally a publicity stunt at all. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I don't really think it's a publicity stunt, man. I think that he really feels that way. I think in his head, he thinks he can beat these people, man. And I like to see it. You know that? I would like to see it, man. That I want to see Blair the Flare get his chance and get out here and start some stuff. I think that Blair is a decent fighter. I don't think he's the most skillful fighter out there at all. I really don't. But I like his heart. I like to see Blair go out here and call these other fighters out. And that's what's straight up cool with me, man. Blair calling these other fighters out, man, that's icing on the cake with me, baby. Because he called out Errol Spence. He called out Terrence Crawford. He called out Jaron Ennis. He even called out Canelo. But one thing that he did say that I do like, and I definitely agree with, is when he said that fighters who duck are cowards. Now, I don't think that applies to Spence. I just think he's throwing that out there for Spence, just to get his name up, because Spence is not dodging anybody. Crawford is not dodging anybody. Jaron Ennis is not dodging anybody. Jaron Ennis is going after the belts. He's trying to fight for his way to the top. So you can't get mad at these dudes like that they won't take a step down to fight Blair the Flare. But this is the thing. I don't think Blair was just 100% saying for himself, like he wants those top guys to fight him, which he definitely wants a chance. He's saying that he can beat those guys. But I think what it is Blair is definitely going off on how he's upset that they're not fighting each other as much. But Blair has to know the politics in boxing, because it's the politics in boxing that when you sit there and say that Canelo Alvarez fought on your undercard, but he's ahead of you now. Now he's the face of boxing. He went from your undercard back when you was fighting in a different country, that now that you're fighting in America, that Canelo is considerably the face of boxing. He packs out arenas worldwide, and a lot of people know who he is. Now, Blair the Flare, you have to be more of a boxing fanatic to know who Blair is right now. But now with all this other stuff that he's starting, he's getting his name out there. And he's starting to become a household name because it's starting to blow up all over social media, the way he's disrespecting people. And sometimes you have to disrespect these boxers. Mike Tyson was talking to Jamal Charlo, and he was like, look, man, if you want to fight Canelo, you got to talk about his mama. You got to go out here. You got to get real disrespectful to these guys and fight. And Jamel said, nah, man, we can't get disrespectful to these boxers like you used to do back in the day. He said, because if we don't do that, salute Mr. Finesse. Hey, man, thanks for coming on in. We're talking about Blair the Flare and what he said about Vergil Ortiz. And I'm still going over I'm on the part where Mike Tyson and Jamal Charlo was talking on Tyson's podcast. And he was telling Jamal that if you want to fight Canelo Alvarez, you got to be real disrespectful to him. And being disrespectful to him, that will make him come out and fight. And Jamal was like, look, man, they used to do that back in the 80s. You can't do that now because Canelo won't fight you. The same way Andrade is being real disrespectful to Canelo. And Canelo is like, man, there's nothing I'm going to do to fight you because you're a boring fighter. And Mr. Finesse said the path was laid out for Canelo. Definitely the path was laid out. Canelo got a fight with Floyd Mayweather at age 24. When nobody really knew, Canelo wasn't a big name in a lot of different places. Canelo was, man, I'm just telling you, they rolled out the red carpet for him and for Loma. But now that it's time, Canelo is in a position to whereas he can do the same for other boxers, he's doing that whole dodging thing. And that's why I say I do respect what Blair the Flare said, but I think that he was shooting that gun I think he was shooting that at the wrong target when he was saying that, when he was shooting it towards Errol Spence Jr. But it definitely applies to Canelo. Canelo is dodging, and it applies so right there. I don't like calling boxers cowards because I think that you have to have heart to get up in that ring like that. But, man, it's on the verge of being with that stuff. Anytime that you see a whole bunch of boxers, now I say a fighter can't fight everybody, but you can't be dodging 3 people. Mr. Finesse says Jamal has done everything boxing said he needed to do to get the fight. And he said Andrade did everything Canelo needed him to do since 154. Man, you are 150% right. You know what's funny? It's funny how fans, and I'm not going to say fans, man. I'm going to say groupies. Hey, man, let me say this. That's it. Man, you was right on point with that. I got to give you that, man. That was a good point right there, man. And because a lot of fans, and we'll say groupies, will not talk about other boxers, what their accomplishments were. Andrade is an undefeated fighter who was a 154-pound champ. He was actually Canelo's mandatory. Canelo didn't want to fight him. Canelo moved up. So at 160, he was Canelo's he had the last belt that Canelo could have beat him and took that belt. And if he took that belt, then he would have been undisputed. Well, because he didn't get that belt and Jamal Charlo was his mandatory, he called Mauricio Suleiman and requested franchise belt. And once he requested franchise belt, he moved up, left the division, and now the whole thing that fans are trying to hold on to is saying that, well, they didn't file the paperwork on time and Canelo got stripped. Man, Canelo has been a champ for I don't know how many years. And you going to tell me that Golden Boy and Canelo didn't know that this paperwork was supposed to be in and do the things he needed to do to make that fight? And then once Canelo got stripped, he could have petitioned the sanctioning body, say, hey, man, I'm trying to make the fight, this and that. And you don't think they would have done that for Canelo? He's the face of boxing back then. But guess what he did? He used it as an excuse. And De La Hoya know it was an excuse. They all know it was an excuse. And once he requested franchise and WBC Mauricio Suleiman gave him a way out, Canelo took that thing and ran, man. That's exactly what he did, man. But you know what? People don't want to hear that, man. People definitely don't want to hear that. And to me, this is what I say that the Canelo groupies can do. Say it again. There you go. And for the 3rd time, in case you guys didn't hear it. That's exactly what the Canelo groupies can do, man. And so you got people like Blair the Flare that's saying that it's fighters out here dodging people, man. And he look at them as like cowards, man. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from Blair the Flare. So, and Canelo falls under that. But I think that some of these fighters and what he did say made a lot of sense. Blair the Flare said today, I was checking it out on one of these interviews he did. I think it was for Fight Hype. And he said that he's just disgusted with these new fighters out here today. He's really disgusted because they are moving in a way to whereas they don't lose their position. They get a good fight, they gain momentum, then they go find another fight where they don't risk a whole lot, where they can kind of stay in position. And he was like, man, I'm sick of it, and that's why I'm here, which is cool. I'm glad you were here, man. I'm glad that you're talking stuff. I'm glad that you're calling people out. I'm glad that you're calling Canelo out. I'm glad you're calling all these other fighters out. Because like he said, he's not saying it just to fight him. He's saying that they could be fighting each other. They could be moving towards the top. But like I said, I think he was shooting in the wrong direction when he was saying that about Earl Spence. Mr. Finesse says Blair is in a position where he almost has nothing to lose. He's trying to get his name out there, and he has inside knowledge. Man, I got to give it to you again, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
You earned that, boy. You earned that. You brought that one in here, man. And that's right. Blair the Flare is in a position to whereas he knows some inside stuff that a lot of us might not even know. And he's telling it. He doesn't have anything to lose. And I think he's looking at his career and saying, man, look, I'm 30 years old. They're not rolling out the red carpet for me like they did Canelo because Canelo was in my undercard. So basically what he's saying is, how is it that when we were over there fighting in another country, I was the top dog, but all of a sudden you see Canelo get swooped away when both of us wasn't a big name. Both of us didn't have a lot on our both of us didn't have a lot on our resumes. And when we both didn't have a lot on our resumes, Canelo, some way, somehow, Canelo, I guess I'm redlining a little bit, but I'm going to bring it on down a little bit. I guess that's a little better. But Canelo didn't have a whole lot of stuff on his resume either. So how the hell did Canelo move up and Blair the Flare didn't move up? How did Canelo, this is what I want to ask you. And I want to ask all the people that's out here watching, that if Canelo got a shot at Floyd Mayweather, who was the face of boxing when he was 24 years old, right? Why in the hell is it so hard for Devin Haney to get a fight with Kambosos or Lomachenko? Why is it so hard for that? Please tell me, because I want to know that. Why is that so hard? Why is it so hard for him to get a fight with Teofimo Lopez? Why they all dodge him? Why is it hard for Shakur Stevenson to get a fight with Valdez? I mean, he had to do everything in the book. And it wasn't until Crawford put a lawsuit on Bob Arum saying that they're prejudiced and they're not taking care of their black fighters, $10 million lawsuit, that all of a sudden, bam, next thing you know, they're making the fight. When Bob Arum is the one who said, I don't want to see Shakur Stevenson fight Valdez. I want to see him fight the guy who Valdez beat. And so, yeah, man, come on in. You can type it in section. Or matter of fact, if you look up on your screen, the number to call in is 954-408-3312, man. You can call in and sound off. We can put you right in, or you can put it right up on there. It's either way, man. It's your world, man. We're going to let you roll on out with it.
Go.
Yeah. Mr. Finesse said, same reason Larry Merchant was so happy when Wilder lost. Great answer, my dude. Great answer, man. Great answer. And that's what it is, man. It's a lot of these people, man. It's this whole thing of, and they make you feel like you're using it as an excuse, but it's kind of funny that they're taking all these fighters and they're giving them the cold shoulder. Like Valdez, like Shakur was getting the cold shoulder, Devin Haney, now Jamal and Andrade, Wilder was getting the cold shoulder. So it's a lot of people that's over there. But the thing about Wilder, I will say, I don't think Wilder's cold shoulder had malice behind it. It was because of anything other than just Eddie Hearn, them not wanting to make the fight. Because AJ was just scared, man. AJ didn't want to take that fight. AJ knew he couldn't beat Wilder, and in his heart, he had a lot of doubt, and he wanted to go a different route. That's why I was so happy when AJ got knocked out by Andy Ruiz. Oh, God, that made me so happy about that because he was holding up the sport. Anytime I see a boxer that's dodging, and this is the wildest thing here, this is the funniest thing about this, is that if I speak up about Keith Thurman, people say I'm hating on Keith Thurman. I speak up about how Bud wasn't taking on any big names. He was fighting a lot of people over in the UK. The same thing that I'm giving Canelo hell for. People say, oh, man, you just hating on Bud. I say about Canelo, oh, man, he's prejudiced. I said about Valdez. Valdez is not taking on any big fight. He's not taking on Shakur. He's dodging. Oh, man, you just prejudiced, dude. You just being biased because he's not black. So it's in one of those positions that being in here having this platform, people say, oh, man, you just hating. They always have something to say. But like I said, man, and I mean this, man, nobody, and I'll repeat this, nobody gets a pass on my channel. Nobody. I don't care who you are. You can be my favorite fighter, man, but you're not getting a pass here. You listen, your job as a fighter is to get in there and fight the best to prove if you're the best. And if you're not that fighter and you're just looking for a payday or you're just a gatekeeper, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I'm not even going to trip on you on that. I'm not going to trip on you on that because you just might be out there for the money. So a lot of fighters in there just for the game, just trying to get some money. You know what I mean? Then there's some fighters out there that's trying to prove that they the baddest SOB on the planet. And if you're trying to say you the baddest SOB on the planet, then guess what? You got to walk that line. Same way Mike Tyson said. You are there to show everybody you are the main one. You trying to call in? All right, hold on. Let's see. I don't know what's going wrong, man. Let's see. Hold on. Hold on. Should be calling right on in, man. You might want to try it again. It's at the top of your screen, man. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see what's going on. You should be right there at it. Hold on. All right, hold on. Hold on, hold on. All right, here we go. All right, try it again, man. Try to call on in, man. I think this is you trying to call in. Try it again. Try it again right now. Go ahead and try to dial it on in, man. This phone line should be working. Should be working properly on this. Should be. Go ahead. Yeah, we're going to wait, see if we can get your call coming in. All right, here we go. All right. All right. Are you on her yet? There we go. Hello? Mr. Finesse, salute, man. Salute. Man, I'm doing just fine, man. I'm going to let you go ahead and call on in here and, man, go ahead and sound off. We'll give you the floor. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. 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 I agree. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. 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 Mm-hmm. 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 Um, I'm not sure if he did or not. We can find out. Yeah, we can look that up. Yeah, yeah. Right, right, right. Let me see. I'll look that up. But go ahead and keep on talking while we doing that. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. I agree with you. I like that. I agree with you on that. Right. 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 Mm-hmm. You are dead right. 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 I can't. I can't. Right? You're exactly right. Right? Right. 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 I can't really name one, man. I can't. Because I think that Triple G is a hype job, man. I really do. I've always thought that. Right? Right? Right. Hmm.
I don't think I'd call Lala a great fighter. He
Right.
had a hard time.
Right. I
You
agree
know, I
with you.
mean, no, I'm not gonna hold. Like I said, I'm not gonna hold any guy to a standard that no one else is being held to. But again, you know, you could break that down a little deeper, but I'm gonna leave it there because we right here on YouTube, and I'm gonna keep it you know, with mainstream pretty much is going with it, and I'm gonna hold everybody to the same standard, right? So Triple G, uh, the path was laid out. I mean, even if you see how it worked out for Lomachenko, I mean, we could go down the line. We all know the names, we know the list, and we all know how it really worked out. But for me, for Mr. Finesse, when you say a fighter is great,
Mm-hmm.
and you're saying he's an all-time great, then you got to be able to tell me other great fighters, not one great fighter, other great fighters this guy has beaten. And then you got to show me when he's fought in good competition how he passed the test with flying colors.
I agree with you on that. And one another thing I'm gonna add to that is I think it's a whole lot of fighters out there that they look at it. They're choosing these favorite fighters and they pushing them a different way, and other fighters they're holding back. And so it's just exactly what you're saying, and I definitely believe in that. I think that Triple G, when it was time for him to fight Jamal Charlo or Andrade, he turned into a coward to me. And I just think that's a bad situation. And just like he said now, did you see the other day when he was the word came up about him not fighting Andre Ward, and he said Andre Ward didn't want to fight him, and so Andre Ward
Mm-hmm.
put up that video and showed that it was him that said, "Nah, I'm not ready for that."
Right, right. But see, what these guys forget is when they're talking, it's recorded.
Right,
Now, some people play like they have selective memory, but I don't. I remember. I remember very clearly. I remember when Triple G said Kell Brook was too small for him, then turned around and fought him and said Kell Brook was the toughest competition he's fought in his career. So, you know, these guys forget when they're talking, they're on tape, you know, and they contradict themselves. But the thing with propaganda, fans, and media is that when you have fandom, right, of a guy who they latch onto based on media propaganda, then the truth doesn't matter, and what actually happened doesn't matter anymore. You know, that's why for me, that's why I'm not holding nobody to a standard no one else is being held. For me, you know, I'm a boxing fan, and I've been a boxing fan before any of the fighters that are fighting now were fighting. Right? So
Right.
if I'm only a fan of this fighter, I wouldn't have started watching boxing until now, you know?
Exactly.
I remember boxing before Floyd, and now I remember boxing after Floyd.
Right.
You know? And so, just like right now, I like Earl, I like Wilder, you know, I like Gary, Shakur, Tank, Boots, Crawford. I like all of them. But I know at some point, you know, those guys put their bodies through hell to give us entertainment. Some point they're all not going to be fighting. Guess what? I'm still going to be a fan of boxing. You know, so to latch on to one guy, you know, and play blind, all that's going to do is ruin. See, what these guys don't understand is all this fandom is why we are where we are now. The only reason why fighters can pick and choose and not fight guys and everything be on pay-per-view that ain't worth pay-per-view, the only reason that's happening is because the fandom and because of the mesmerized guys who just want to see this guy, their hero. Now they created a space where, okay, Canelo can fight Yildirim. You know, Charlo can fight a Selecki. You know, you won't get, you know, they can box Stephen Fulton out because the fandom has allowed it where it really comes down to where's your money spent. And if you're still spending money on the bullshit, they're going to keep selling it to you.
Oh, exactly. Because they, you know what, when they, like you said, they got the bullshit fights out there, and they take these guys out there and they just look at like, well, if you're going to pay for this pay-per-view, then why should we up the ante, you know?
Especially if I could put, you know, one star on a pay-per-view with somebody who's not a big star, pay the other guy a little bit of money, pay the star money, and keep the rest. Of course I'm going to do that. You know, Bob Arum said this years ago. He said, boxing fans are like rocks. You can kick them any way you want. Now, did you know that he said that?
No, I never heard him say that one. That's one that slipped by me.
Oh, you see, I was about to say that everybody who watched boxing would have seen that. So, but I'm saying that to say, this guy said that, and he didn't say it hidden. He said this on camera, out loud.
Right.
And it's, you know, when he said it, I was offended as a boxing fan, right? I'm like, what? You know, what you think? People are stupid? But as, you know, years later, as the game unfolds, he's absolutely right.
Right. Well, he's definitely right.
You got people who will argue you about how good Ryan Garcia is. And then the same person would tell you that Tank Davis ain't fought nobody.
Exactly. I tell you what, it's funny that you said that because I say that when I like a boxer, I like a lot of boxers for a lot of different reasons. I actually like Ryan Garcia because I think he has some kind of skills. Do I think he can beat Tank? Nope. Do I think he can beat Devin? Nope. I just think he has charisma to him. I think he has a little bit of skills. I see him being like a newer De La Hoya is what I'm saying. Is he my favorite fighter? No. Spence right now is the fighter that I kind of favor the most. That's one of my favorite fighters. But I also like Bud. I like them both. A lot of people think that if you're a Bud fan, you're not a Spence fan. And you can be a fan of both, you know?
If you like boxing, you should be a fan of both.
Exactly. And you won't...
If you like
and you...
There's no reason you wouldn't like both if you were liking boxing.
Right. And you won't... What happens is, what people don't understand is, it takes boxers to bring out the best in another boxer. And what I'm saying is, you needed Hagler, you needed Hearns, you needed Sugar Ray, you needed Roberto Duran. You needed all those guys shaking up. Within this new era right here, they feel like if you lose one fight, you're out, like it's a tournament. And that's not how it is. Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Hagler, Duran, they all fought each other. It didn't matter who won this one or who lost to that one. They all fought each other. And that's the way it should be now. And that's what old school people like you and I, we miss. We look at it like that. We're like, okay, I can like this fighter and I can like this fighter a little bit more. But in this matchup over here, I might like this fighter more. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's what I kind of tend to. I don't know what's your thoughts on that?
No, well, I mean, as far as, well, I want to back up real quick, and then I'm going to jump to what you just said. You said you thought Ryan Garcia was like today's De La Hoya. I'm going to say I completely disagree with that because Oscar De La Hoya.
Well, no, let me throw this in there. I said could be. I meant to say could be. But go ahead, keep going. Could,
okay.
because I just said he possesses all the skills, but he doesn't have that heart there, and I don't know if it's De La Hoya holding him back. But I won't cut you off. But go ahead and finish that. But I just wanted to throw that in because I kind of slid to something.
Because De La Hoya, he definitely fought everybody to fight. You know, whether he won or lost, he definitely would get in there with whoever.
Right.
And he fought. With Ryan, and again, I don't know the guy, so it's not. I don't. That's I think another thing. Fans with the fandom get too personal.
Right.
You don't know these people, right?
Right.
And so I don't know him. I don't dislike the guy, but as far as boxing, he could. If he's gonna do what he's doing, then he could say less, right? But
right.
if he's gonna get in there and fight Devin, then talk that shit. If he's gonna get in there and fight Tank, yeah, talk that shit. But if you're gonna do what you're doing, then say less, right?
Right, exactly. And I'll tell you what. Let me get on that before we go any further with that one, because I think what you said made a whole lot of sense, and that's the same thing I'm saying. I like Ryan. I think he has potential. The thing that's kind of got me tripping on that thing is that it seems like Ryan wants to fight. Do you think it's Ryan not wanting to fight, and De La Hoya is holding him back? What do you think? Do you think it's De La Hoya, or do you think it's Ryan? Which one do you think is the one holding him back from making those better fights?
I'm going to tell you why I think it's Ryan, because De La Hoya would let Canelo Alvarez fight Jamal Charlo. He would let him. I think when De La Hoya, he first of all knows, I think, the Ryan's limitations, because he does have skills. Ryan does have some skills. Right.
He got some skills. I don't think I think he's like number 4 or number 5 at 135.
But I think that skills aren't enough. And we know that. I don't have to say that. I think that. I know that. We know that.
Right.
It's not just, that skills pay the bill shit sounds good. But if you got all the skills, let's give all kind of examples. Who would have the skill advantage when Luis Ortiz fought Deontay Wilder?
Oh, Luis Ortiz had the skill advantage.
But they fought twice and the result was the same because, number one, I think skills, right, can be misread sometimes, but because knocking people out is a skill. To do that consistently is a skill. But you have to have more than the skills, right? You need a chin, you need a heart, you need stamina.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not just that you can throw a perfect jab and a perfect hook. You got great footwork. Your hands are fast. You need more, unfortunately. But fortunately, because in that sport, there are guys who might not have the fastest hands, might not have the best footwork, but they got stamina that does not run out, and they got iron chin.
Right.
So when you saw, what's this guy's name? What's this guy? Just the other week, he what is his name? Chris Colbert.
Yeah, Chris Colbert. No heart.
Chris Colbert. When you see, he has obviously a skill advantage over his opponent, but you need more than that sometimes, right? You're going to have to dig down sometimes, which, like you said, this is what I like about Errol Spence. This is what I like about Terrence Crawford, Deontay Wilder, Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis, Devin Haney. These guys aren't just skilled. They got some gas tank. They got some chin. I haven't seen them quick in the ring. Now, and with Ryan, when you ask me, do I think it's him or Oscar, Ryan was with Canelo's camp at some point, correct?
Mm-hmm.
He left Canelo's camp, right? Before he was with Canelo's camp, he was somewhere else, left there to go to Canelo's camp. Now he's with another camp. Let's see how that works out. But I'm just saying, his behavior is more telling me that it's him.
Okay.
Right?
I think
obviously I don't know because I'm not in the behind the scenes with him.
Right.
It's his behavior that makes me think.
Right.
It's
right.
him, as opposed to Oscar.
And I've been on the fence with that. And the reason why I say I've been on the fence with that, because when it first started out, I started hearing that Ryan wanted to fight Devin. He wanted to fight he wanted to fight Tank. Then all of a sudden, I remember. Do you remember the interview where they asked De La Hoya is he ready for Tank? Is Ryan ready for Tank? He said, nah, he's not ready for Tank yet, right? And that right there made me and that made me think that he started to pull him back a little bit. It's just like, and the reason why I say I have doubts, I'm on the fence with that, is because this Jaime Munguia fight with him fighting Charlo, I think that all fell back on De La Hoya, because before they negotiated that contract, you knew PBC was the A side, right? And you knew the A side is going to go with their own network. So why would you negotiate the contract and then on the back end say, well, we want to go Showtime DAZN? To me, that was like a back door to get Jaime Munguia out of it. You see what I'm saying? And it's like De La Hoya, I think that, and I'm not saving Ryan, because I know Ryan is bullshitting around. I'm not saving him. But I think these promotional companies, when they have their cash cows, they are sitting there fighting to the end to protect those cash cows.
I definitely think that everything you said makes sense. So, both. I think that both things are possible. It could go. It could definitely be what you said, De La Hoya holding him and even Munguia back. With Munguia, with Munguia, I don't know, because I pay less attention because they talk less about him. Right? With Ryan, he speaks more, so I'm looking more into what I'm hearing. Right.
Right.
It's definitely possible that it's De La Hoya holding him back. So, and let's say that's the case. Okay. Then Ryan would know that too, right?
Right.
And that's what I mean, is that, I would have, if you're going to build yourself up and get better, and cool, that's good, it's perfect, you know what I'm saying? That's what you're supposed to do. But if you're going to do that, then do that. You know what I mean? You don't tell me, especially if I know you're bullshitting, don't tell me you're going to knock Tank out in 2 rounds. Don't tell me that, you'll beat Devin easy. He got to build himself up first. Don't tell me all this shit and then turn around and fight whoever you about to fight.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
Okay, fine. Let's say you're going to say that and you won't fight either one of them. Then at least you need to be fighting Richard Comey.
Right.
I mean, at least, you know what I'm saying? If I'm not even, and I wouldn't even be good with that. I'm just saying the level you're talking, what you're saying and what you're doing are very different.
Oh, I agree. And when I say I like Ryan, people think that I'm saying I don't. He's my favorite. I hear a lot of people like, well, if that's your favorite, I'm like, nah, dude, he's not my favorite. I like Ryan. I hope the best. But really, to be honest, in that division, I favor Devin Haney more than anything, because I like Devin Haney's heart. I like Devin. Devin will fight Tank tomorrow. Devin will fight Kambosos. He'll fight everybody. I like Tank too. I think Tank is a great fighter. I think that what Floyd is trying to do, Floyd is trying to move him in a way where he's like the new Floyd. I think a lot of that is Floyd, because I don't think that Tank is afraid of Loma, Kambosos, or anybody else. I think that what they're trying to do is send a signal out to say, man, we're not going to be a slave to these belts, or we're going to be a slave to these other promoters holding us down. Because you remember, Floyd wasn't big on that. He's like, man, you can keep your belt. I just want to fight you. I'm bigger than the belts. And I think that's how he's trying to move Tank. And I like it, you know what I mean? Because you have people like Kambosos is playing keep away from Devin Haney, which is wrong.
Yeah, this is crazy. And again, who's holding Kambosos to any standard? Who's calling? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, exactly.
There's nobody pushing on Kambosos to fight Devin Haney for undisputed.
Right. They're asking Mike Coppinger. They were putting up on Twitter, why are people not acknowledging that Kambosos is undisputed when Kambosos can't be undisputed? It's no way, because you have someone in the division that's disputing it. Devin Haney has the same belt that Tyson Fury has.
Right.
So is Tyson Fury belt a pride belt?
They're gonna rewrite history if it's allowed. But this has happened before. This isn't the first time, because I think if the people didn't keep spending money on the bullshit, because again, if you're gonna give me Tank Davis, and Tank, I like Tank too, but I'm not blind. If you're gonna give me Tank Davis versus Mario Barrios, you better not be trying to charge me no money for that shit.
Exactly. That should be a regular a regular Showtime fight. It shouldn't be pay-per-view.
Correct. If you're gonna give it to me, fine. If you're telling me that he's moving up, cool. I'm not even mad at the fight. Good fight. He's moving up to fight this guy, okay. But you gonna put that on pay-per-view? Nah, come on, man.
Nah,
man. What are we doing here?
Exactly. Like Rolly, that doesn't need to be on pay-per-view either. Everybody knows he's gonna beat up Rolly.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Right.
You know?
Right. And I can't, and you know, my thing is this, like I said on my channel, I don't give anybody a pass, so I can't give Floyd a pass on that. Floyd can't keep making those fights with Tank and, like you said, not fighting top names and wanting to do pay-per-view. I mean, you can't keep going to that well.
Like, to me, you know, and of course when he did it, that nobody gave it credit because that's what they do. You know, minimize, demonize, and emasculate. Rinse and repeat, that's the formula. But Tank Davis beats Pedraza early, right? Pedraza is a bum. Nobody knows Pedraza. He never fought nobody. Now, fast forward a couple years, Pedraza's a pretty good fighter.
Right.
You know, Pedraza's a pretty good fighter, fast forward a couple years. And you won't hear the same credit that, let's say, a Lomachenko would get for beating a Pedraza. Right? Or even Jose Ramirez, if you saw the fight the other weekend. You know, it was a good fight. You know, but Pedraza put up a good fight.
Yeah.
He didn't go out like no sucker.
Man, he's a good fighter. He really is a good fighter.
He's a good fighter. But, you know, when certain people beat him, they're not as good. You know, Jamel Herring beat the shit out of, what's his name? What's the guy's name? Frampton. Now, Shakur Stevenson showed us a big gap. Didn't Shakur show us a gap?
Oh, my goodness.
Did he show us separation?
Oh, my God. He shows you what a real champ is. He is a special fighter, and he shows that.
He showed complete separation, and that's not to discredit Jamel Herring because he's a good fighter.
Yeah, you can't discredit him. You can't.
He just showed you he's more than a good fighter.
Right.
We'll see what. He's about to fight Valdez. This is what I love. This is the part of boxing that I love. They've been building up Valdez, right? Giving after Valdez beat what's his name, Pichel, and then drank the tea, and then really lost his last fight, but he got the win. They gonna tell you prior to now, when they ain't know Valdez was fighting Shakur, Valdez was the man.
Right.
Now Valdez about to get in there with Shakur. So this guy is a guy these guys been telling us he's a good fighter, right?
We're going to find out.
He's a very good fighter. And Shakur, in my opinion, is about to show once again extreme separation.
Yep. I agree. And you know, the other thing too is that Valdez, I put him in the category with a lot of fighters, not a lot, but with a few fighters that don't have that confidence that they portray out there to the public. And the reason why I say that, anytime these fighters keep trying to take an easy way out and taking PEDs and that kind of stuff, they have doubt. You know, they don't have that in them to think that they can beat everybody. And you know, you got to be delusional as a boxer to really feel you can beat everybody. That's what Shakur Stevenson said the other day, that if Floyd was in his prime, he could beat Floyd. If Canelo was in the same weight, he could beat Canelo. And everybody's falling off the rocker and upset about that. I'm like, what do you want him to say? He's supposed to say that.
Right.
That's
he better believe that. Never mind what he say. He better believe that.
Gotta believe that. You can't be like your guy the other day. He out there fighting, and then you get down, and at the end of the fight, you want to run and try not to get knocked out.
Oh yeah, Colbert. Yeah. Colbert.
Yeah, you don't want to be like Colbert, man. And Shakur called him out and said, man, you know, Colbert was talking about, do I have dog in me? He's like, Colbert was always a scam, man. He was a liar. He said, because when we were sparring back in the day, you know, watching him come up sparring, he said that dude did it a lot. He showed he didn't have heart a whole lot.
And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about it's more than just skills.
Yeah.
You know, of course, when you have skill and all the other attributes, that makes it a great thing to see, right? Of course it does.
Right.
But it isn't just the skills that pay the bills. You need a little more than that.
I agree. I agree. That's why people ask me about my pound for pound list, and I tell them pound for pound, I have Terrence Crawford as my number 1. Earl Spence is my number 2, but Earl Spence is my number 1 welterweight, and Crawford is my number 2 welterweight. They're like, well, we don't even have, a lot of people say they don't even have Spence in their top pound for pound. They have Canelo, and I'm like, I don't put Canelo in there. 1 for PEDs. The other thing, too, is when you start ducking fighters, I can understand you can't fight everybody, but when you got 3 fighters that you're definitely ducking, that makes me think you have a heart issue. And I've said this on a lot of times. Heart is a skill. When you don't have anything left, that heart is what shows up in the championship rounds, and that's what you need.
Right.
And Chris Colbert just proved my point.
Because even if you lose in the championship rounds, even if you lose, you get knocked out. Heart, when you show the heart, that's just different, man. You know?
Yeah.
Like, every fighter don't have to win, like you were saying before. You know, like everybody, all the old-time greats pretty much have lost. You know, all of them. And that doesn't take away from their greatness because, number 1, styles make fight. And number 2, you're also, when you go up against the best, when it's the best versus the best, anybody can win.
Right.
Yeah. Which is why the result, to me, when Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight, the result is less relevant than seeing a great fight. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm rooting for Errol. And I think he wins. But if Errol lost, like it wouldn't change anything other than like, yo, that was a dope fight. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But see, the way society is now.
You know, and I want to see Errol win. I'm hoping he wins and wins 3 belts, and I hope that then it's Crawford next. If Errol is to lose to Spence, you know, damn, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
But I saw a great fight.
Exactly.
And we keep it, and then it's on to the next fight. You know what I mean? Like nothing changes. You know,
it doesn't.
Theory, man,
it doesn't mean that you're finished because you lost your O. You know what I'm saying? But these guys out here, the problem is society pushes that agenda that if you lose your O, you're washed up. So they protect that O because it's so hard. Like, think about Jamel Charlo, right? If he was to lose that O, they would swear up and down, oh, see, I told you he's no good. Why is it? Just because he lost it to one person don't mean he's going to lose to Canelo. They think this triangle theory works, and the triangle theory does not work.
It doesn't work.
Can you beat that fighter? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if this fighter beat that fighter, and it could have been that fighter beat him on a bad day. You know?
I was about to say that. Can you beat that fighter on that day?
Because
to me, the version of Sean Porter that fought Errol Spence has not been the same. I have not seen that version of Sean Porter again.
No. Actually, well, let's see. After the Earl Spence fight, he had 1 fight, and then he fought Bud, then he retired. So he had 2 fights after that, right? The fight that when he fought Bud, he didn't have that same oomph in him that he had for Earl Spence. Because at the end of the fight, you know, when his dad stopped that fight, I think that they were already talking about him retiring. So I think in the back of his mind, he only gave it. I think he gave it Sean Porter, but I don't think he gave it the Errol Spence effort that he gave. You know what I mean? Because I'll tell you,
it didn't look the same.
Yeah, it wasn't because he didn't. Normally, Sean Porter smothers all your punches. He was second guessing himself. He acted like he had a little bit of ring rust, and I don't know. I said, well, maybe he's just doing too many of these podcasts and he's doing too much traveling. His mind, he wasn't locked in like I thought he should have. But I'm not going to take any, and I watch how I say that because I don't want to take any credit away from Bud because Bud stopped him. I think it was a premature stoppage, but Bud stopped him. So.
And Crawford couldn't really do nothing about Kenny Porter stopping it, you know.
Right.
But I was saying on another live, I was saying that I feel like Kenny Porter that night stole either Terrence Crawford's a clean knockout because now it's questionable. You know, the people. That's what was being said right after the fight. That was he wasn't even that hurt, or that was debatable. He took him away the opportunity for Crawford to get a clean knockout of Sean Porter, which would have been something that we never seen before.
Right.
or he took away Sean Porter's ability, because I think prior to those knockdowns, Porter was winning the fight. He took away Sean Porter's ability to get back up and come back and win the fight.
Exactly.
So I felt like when he threw that towel, that you robbed both of them.
You did. He did. And then I think that maybe that last hit when Sean Porter got up after that last knockdown, you never know. The old Sean Porter could have came out and head clear and said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go for broke. And we don't know how good Bud's chin is. We saw him get a little wobbly when he fought Green Machine. You know what I mean? You can see him he got hit. He wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but it was still show vulnerability. And you never know, that's something that Sean Porter could have capitalized on. But like you said, he stopped it premature, and that just robbed both fighters. I think Kenny Porter should have stayed out of that.
My bad. I just want to tell you real quick. I was looking it up to see that in 2013, Demetrius Andre fought Vanez.
Okay. Yeah, my computer was over here acting up, and when you called in, I was getting a text, and someone said that they couldn't hear you, so I had to unplug you from my machine. Sometimes I act a little screwed. That's what was happening, is acting buggy. So now I just have you on speaker where the mic can pick it up, so that's why I wasn't able to keep looking it up. So.
Oh, got you. And I appreciate you letting me talk that long, because it's been a while we've been on here, and I'm gonna jump off in a second. I brought the Andre thing up against Vanez only to say that when Andre fought Vanez and beat him, Vanez was a credible opponent. He was a good fighter.
Right.
He was an active fighter. And, of course, they're going to keep saying, so now think about this logic now. Andre beats Vanez when Vanez is a top fighter in the division, right, in his prime, and he's active, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now Triple G fights Vanez, pulling him up from a division and off a layoff for years, but Canelo will fight Triple G, right? And then tells Boo Andre, you fight horrible fighters. But Boo Andre fought the same damn guy that Golovkin fought and beat him years before when the guy was in better situation.
Exactly.
But you'll fight Golovkin, but you won't fight Andre, right? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well,
this is how the standard works.
It proves everything we're saying. Canelo's just ducking Andrade. He cannot, he knows that style causes him problems. Lara beat Canelo, and then you're going to go fight Andrade, who's a better fighter than Lara. So how are you going to get past that?
Lara, right.
Yeah, Andrade is going to put you to sleep.
No, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I said what I had to say. I was letting you speak on it.
No, yeah, because and when you go back to 154, right? So a guy like Kirkland and Angulo, right? I guess they're decent fighters, right? These are decent fighters. They're not terrible fighters, decent fighters. Yeah,
but they're solid. They're solid fighters for where they are.
They're decent fighters, right? But at this time, you still had the Andres and the Charlos out there. Remember, Canelo is the same age as them.
Right. Matter of fact, he's younger than them. I think Canelo is younger than Charlo and Andrade.
Oh, I think
they may be like a year. They may be like a year or two older than Canelo.
Yes. So they've been in the game and they've been champions at the same weight for how many years at this point?
Right.
It's been since 154, so it's not like there's nobody saying, "Oh, he's ducking everybody." No. There's not a bunch of fights. Oh, Canelo has to fight everybody. No, I'm saying that when you go up and down this man's resume, if you go up and down his resume, there are no great wins. There are some good wins. There are no great wins against great fighters. There are good wins.
Right.
And even in the good wins came with a struggle. You don't get... So he knocked out James Kirkland. Okay, cool. If you're going to give him love for that, well, then what love are you giving Jamal Charlo for knocking out Julian Williams?
Exactly. And J-Rock was a good fighter.
And J-Rock and Kirkland are not even the same level of fighter.
Not even close.
Not even close. And so now you fighting Kirkland and putting stipulations in the shit where he can't have his main trainer. So you fighting a guy who's not even close to J-Rock, and you still putting stipulations in it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you're not confident in what you're doing.
Right. But Canelo has always done that. You know that Canelo has always done stipulations. He's done everything he could,
always.
Like he did with Kovalev. You know, Kovalev fought. He fought Anthony Yard, and you remember it went all the way down to the wire where Anthony Yard got tired, and then guess what happened? He won. He barely won that fight because Anthony Yard got tired. Then I guess Canelo gave him, was it 4 weeks turnaround time or 6
Something
weeks?
like that.
It was like 4 or 6 weeks.
It was quick. It was quick.
Right. It was 4 or 6 weeks right after his fight. Then he gave him a rehydration clause. Well, you already know he's depleted as a fighter anyway, right? And so then you fight him, and then you tell him he can't go rehydrate after he's already been in a war with Anthony Yard. So Canelo has been doing this.
Not only was he in a war with Anthony Yard, he gets knocked out by Andre Ward and beat up in the fight. He gets knocked out by Eldir Alvarez. He comes back. He wins the fight against Alvarez in another tough fight. Then goes to war with Yard, gets knocked down a bunch of times. Damn near gets knocked out.
Yep.
Of course. And so now this is the guy you want to fight.
Right.
This is the guy you want to fight.
But guess what? Let me fight him right after the war. Don't give him no time to rest. Let me go give him a 6-week turnaround time with a rehydration clause. You didn't have. That's a shell of a fighter. Matter of fact, they shouldn't even have let that happen. They shouldn't even sanction that fight. They should have made it at least be 12 weeks right after the last fight. You didn't even have enough time to go home and pick your weight back up and rehydrate and all the bruises and stuff to heal real good. It takes you longer than that to heal up.
And let's say that we're reaching on what we're saying. We're just guessing. Well, if you then watch the fight, when I watched that fight, I didn't see no crusher in the ring.
Nah,
he wasn't in there. Sergey the dancer.
Yeah.
He's in there pity patting. When I saw the Alvarez versus what's his name, Chavez Jr. fight, this is another one. You know, you see what's happening. It's a pattern. It's not new. Now you got the next 3 fights laid out, right? You got the Bivol fight. You got Golovkin fight, and then you got what's the name, John Ryder or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And that's why I hope that Triple G don't get past Murata.
Are they even fighting?
Yeah, he's supposed to be fighting him in Japan, ain't it? Next month, something like that. Is what it was supposed to be scheduled for, unless they called it off.
I thought something got switched up with that fight.
Well, it might have switched it up. They've been doing a whole lot of crazy stuff here lately, but that's what it was. He's supposed to be fighting him and then fighting Canelo right after. And that's why they put his fight in September.
I don't think he's fighting Murata anymore. I think something got switched up with that Murata fight.
Okay, well, they did that to protect Triple G. That's what they did.
Right. They're going to make sure they get that Canelo fight up in there.
Yeah.
You know, but now we know that, so we move on from Canelo because that's what he's doing. So, all right, cool. Because, again, I'm watching boxing, so that's what he's doing. That none of them fights is something I want to see, you know.
Yeah.
It's on where I'm at when it comes on and I'm sitting somewhere and it comes on, I'll watch it. I'm not looking for that. But so let's see what else is going on. I see the Showtime card. I mean, of course, the Spence Ugas fight is something I want to see.
Right.
Outside of that, Stephen Fulton fight is a decent fight, but I would love to see him get a shot to get undisputed. But you know, Shakur coming up, that's not on PBC, but it's still a good fight. That's what the main fight I'm looking forward to see: the Spence fight and the Stevenson fight.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. April the 30th is going to be a real good day. I can't wait to see that.
Absolutely.
Because you know what happened? That's going to definitely put him in position so he can become undisputed.
Exactly. And it puts him in position where, number one, he's the top dog at his division, but also, number two, in my opinion, that puts him in a position where out of all these young guys, he's got the most dominant wins over credible names. Yep.
And he'll be in a situation where they can't deny him. Did you hear what Loma said?
Right.
Loma said that he will fight Shakur Stevenson if he had all 4 belts. He'd come down and fight him. So that would be a fight I would love to see too.
I'd love to see that fight, but he ain't doing Shakur no favors. So if it ain't no, Loma ain't in no position to put stipulations on what Shakur need to do. It's Shakur time.
Yeah.
It's Devin Haney time. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm going to hold him to the same standards, right? So if we're going to hold him to the same standards, look at if that's the case, Shakur is an all-time great already, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to hold him to the same standards if that's the case. If Golovkin is an all-time great, Shakur is certainly an all-time great.
Yeah.
Yo, my boy, I appreciate you letting me stay on here so long, man. My brother, this is a great show. I've been checking you out. You come on like at this time every night?
Yeah, every night I'm going to come on around 10:30. And we do a little bit of show, let people call in. Tomorrow I'll make sure I have it all straightened out. I do that Monday through Friday.
All right, man. Bet, man.
All right.
You.
Now, did you see this on? You see this on YouTube or did you see this through Facebook?
No, on YouTube.
YouTube?
I don't even got no. On YouTube.
Okay, okay. I didn't know because I would say just make sure that if you were on my Facebook, just come to my YouTube channel and subscribe. That way you'll definitely see it and see it pop up. But we'll be on tomorrow night.
The notification popped up. You know what I'm saying? So I got you, man. You locked in.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming out, man. Hey, I love somebody that calls in that can talk some sense, man. Appreciate you, man.
All right, my brother. Thank you, man. It's Mr. Finesse. I'm out of here.
All right. See you. Salute, man. Later. All right, man. Hey, I had to let that conversation keep on rolling, man. It was so good to have a caller that calls in that had knowledge about the sport. See, that's what this platform is for. See, we get a lot of trolls on here, and I have fun. I love all the smoke. I love arguing with people back and forth. I love it, man. But I like to debate with people. I also like people that you can call in that you agree with on a lot of levels. And it's good to see an old soul in boxing. Mr. Finesse was one of those guys that was real knowledgeable. He was straight up what he was saying, and I appreciate a call like that. He wasn't just somebody out there just throwing out and just saying stuff just off the top of his head. He talked about something, stayed on subject. He talked about how he felt about it, why he felt that way, and the reason behind everything of that. He's been a boxing fanatic for years, and he's watched things unfold. And so when you have people like myself and like Mr. Finesse, we've watched boxing for so long. I've watched boxing from the 80s all the way up until now. And so seeing boxers at year after year, decade after decade, you start understanding when you see a special boxer like Shakur Stevenson and Jaron Ennis, and you see really good boxers like Devin Haney. I can't say Devin Haney is not a special boxer, but I can't say he is a special boxer till he gets that chance. But I think Shakur and Ennis are showing a little bit more of special stuff that's in them. And then you got Tank, you got Ryan Garcia, and I can't really say it about Ryan. He's a new kid coming up, but you got the Charlos, you got, you got a lot of good fighters out there. And when you watch these guys, you want to see the greatness come out of these guys, And that's why I was throwing Ryan out there. I like to see what the kid is made of because he's got a lot of skills. But I want to see if he has heart. I want to see what Jamel Charlo is made out of. I want to see what Jamal Charlo is made out of. I want to see what Bud is made out of. What are these guys made out of when they got, what's the saying? What happens when a unmovable object is confronted by an unstoppable force? What happens when you have Earl Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford fighting for undisputed at the prime of their careers? Hasn't been done in sports. In the welterweight division, it's never been done. You got two great fighters like that fighting for undisputed, undefeated. Man, you got to see that fight. But I want to hold those two guys accountable, but I also want to get these other fighters who've been fighting for so many years, from amateurs through Olympics, and they get up to here to have other fighters dodge them and not give them a chance. So that's what this platform is for, so we can all get on here and sound off, so we can all see what direction that the boxing fan and the boxing era needs to go. And what the direction is, I can't say I agree with everything that Blair Cobb said, but I do agree that Blair Cobb saying that a lot of fighters out here could be making great fights, and they're not. They're just moving in certain moves to make sure they stay at a certain status, meaning they might take a good fight up here, beat that fighter, then they'll take a couple of tune-up fights and then try to get another fighter way at the top to keep trying to move up. But it's a slow process, and it shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this grueling on these boxers. And I don't blame the boxers. I blame the fans, because we dictate what the promoters give us. If we keep paying for those stupid fights that Canelo is fighting, if we keep paying for these stupid fights that some of these boxers are fighting, like, and I hate to say this, I don't want to pay for pay-per-view to see Rolly get knocked out by a Tank. I think that's a regular Showtime fight. But if you keep paying those pay-per-view prices, they're going to keep fighting them. I watch a lot of these fights. On some fights that I pay for that I know I shouldn't, I do it so I can have a really good educated opinion when I come and talk to you guys the next day or give you my fight breakdown. But as far as this Canelo fight, I won't be watching him and the Bivol and Canelo fight. I won't watch that for $1. I don't care how that fight goes. I already know Canelo's going to win. Bivol does have a puncher's chance, but I could care less. But anyway, guys, that's straight up no chaser. Thank you guys for tuning in. And for the people that are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and share. Hit the bell notification icon. We will be back on tomorrow night, Monday through Friday. We go around 10-ish, 10:30-ish, sometime close to 11. Just depends on a few little factors of me getting settled in from my job and stuff, how that goes. So weeknights, Monday through Friday, we come on 10:30-ish. So set your calendar, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow night. Straight up no chaser. Until tomorrow night, I'm out. Salute.